excuse for having 200, nearly what we know about 200 nuclear heads, and forbidden most of the Arab countries and Iran from having nuclear weapons. Do you think when Israel, Adel said, excuse Israel that it's not going to use nuclear against the Arab area, but when they use phosphorus and cluster bombs in Gaza, do you think they are not going to use nuclear?
Okay. Thank you very much. On the question on Mr. Blair, Blair is a story of past. He is not a Prime Minister of the UK. He is based in Jerusalem, so you can expect anything from Mr. Blair. But I would be the certainly first one to say he should not be the President of Europe. When offered to the Tories this morning, I said, if you want me to write an article for you, I'm prepared to do it. I'm going to hand you over to Adel now to answer the first or second question, because I think it's related to him.
I think we should perhaps have a referendum on the recent treaty of the European Union, which is the constitution disguised as treaty. Non-democratic president will want to impose non-democratic rules. On the question, I think it just needs some kind of historic clarity here. After Chernobyl, if you remember from the 1980s, when the Welsh farmers had the sheep and the crops affected by wind from Chernobyl, it showed that even Israel cannot really practically use nuclear weapons, because it's a very proximity of the area where a war can take place, would mean actually it's a Samson option. Israel is the only country in the world where its very existence is actually challenged. There's no other country in the world that has been denied the right to exist. Bear that in mind. So you have to have a psychology.
Yeah.
Can we let him answer the question first?
I'm neither Israeli nor Palestinian. I'm just trying to put things in perspective here. Okay. So it is a Samson option. It is an option that is actually not going to be used unless it's actually, that's it, you know, to be, as I said, everyone knows what the Samson option is. On the other issues of double standard, non-double standard, we have been down this route before, we've answered these questions before. We are specifically talking now about non-proliferation. It's not, if an area, it's better everyone gives up their nuclear weapons, I agree with that. So it's the issue here is a regime where, it's actually abuse of human rights, the legitimacy of the regime after the last election is in question, and the president of the regime stands in the United Nations. He is going to wipe countries off the map, talking about the halo of light from heaven around him. He speaks in the United Nations, and waiting for a world war to bring the 12th Imam. That's just what these things perspective, and that's why other countries, not just Israel, other countries in the region are extremely worried about the Iranian nuclear program. The way to say, forget about the weapons, even if an earthquake happened in an Iranian nuclear.
Thank you. Baqer, did you want to comment on that?
There was nothing specifically addressed to me.
Okay, I think you did mention it. No. Okay, anybody else from the panel who wants to answer? Sir.
I'll just give a broad brush reply to all these human rights and nuclear weapons and all that. Yeah, of course, the nuclear weapon, I agree with the lady on the other side. Why just pick on Iran and before, as Rita said, India and all those countries, and why leave Israel alone? But let's just go a bit forward and say, what can we do about the Middle East situation? So it strikes to me three things. One, let's try for the end of the occupation. Two, end of terrorism. It's on both sides. So we have to face the facts and let's try for that. And third, we are not using the best resources in the world. We are only bringing US, UK, France from the negotiating table. The best players are India, China and Russia. Let's bring them forward and let's have a Middle East solution. Thank you.
Is there any... Yeah, right, sir.
Peter Appio, first of all, about Israel, this was a nation that was founded on terrorism by the Ergun and Stone Gang, King David Hotel. They're a little bit rich to complain about terrorists on the other side trying to create their thing. You did it that way, they're just doing it their way. Now, why should we trust white people and Anglo-Saxons about who has nuclear weapons? Compared to the Iranians, who've done nothing over the past 200 years to anybody, the white people decimated the Native American population in the 19th century, played football with Aborigines' heads. The Middle Passage took us as slaves from Africa. 11 million died on the passage, worked us to the bone for free for sugar and tobacco. So we've got a lot less to fear from these Iranians on past track record than white people that sit there and pontificate on It's a bit like Fred West sitting on a social. It's a bit like Fred West sitting on a social panel determining who should have kids or not. Yes, exactly.
I think if we can I please ask? We don't use race as an example. I think we should stay on the topic. If you want, we can have another debate on this. But let's just talk about nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction, Iran, Israel, and focus on that. I'm going to ignore this question. You made your contribution, sir. Thank you. I'll take you, sir.
Thank you. James Thring. Has the panel really answered the question, is Iran following the same path as Israel? And may I suggest that it hasn't, because Israel has followed a path of nuclear development by deception, by theft, and by threat to other people who threaten it. So, whereas Iran has been open and honest, they've only done what the Nuclear Non Proliferation Treaty demands, which is to hold everything secret until 6 months before energizing, and that's only civil. Israel has gone along the military path, and as far as we know, Iran isn't doing so. But even if it did, one further difference is that Iran is defending itself against an open threat from Israel, and it's only because they're trying to support Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Palestinian cause, which is very honourable. In world politics, in the future of world history, that will be revered. The Israelis are not doing any good for anybody except themselves, and they've only actually, they're the only country who's actually threatened a nuclear attack. This was against the Egyptians in 1973, which they called a Samson option, but of course the Egyptians don't have any nuclear weapons, so it wasn't a Samson option at all. It was a threat to annihilate the Egyptian army.
Thank you, sir.
My question is addressed to
your name, sir?
Samir Nasif, I'm a journalist.
Okay.
To His Excellency from the Embassy of Iran. Do you believe that there are fears in the minds of the leaders and the peoples of the Arab countries of what the nuclear program is in Iran, and what is Iran trying to do to allay these fears? I mean, are they trying to have a program of explaining this to the Arab leaders and the Arab peoples, or do they believe that it's all propaganda in the Western press and that there isn't any fear among the Arabs?
Okay. Thank you, sir.